Discuss board meeting of the Ambridge Area School District is being held on Wednesday, February 12th, 2025. This meeting is being held to review the agenda for the regular monthly board meeting that will be held on Wednesday, February 19th, 2025, 7 p.m. in the high school cafeteria. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This meeting is being recorded for district purposes. It is or may be published in part or in its entirety on the district's website without the express permission of meeting participants. That may I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Fisher?
Here.
Ms. Fitzko?
Here.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Here.
Mr. Kovacevic?
Here.
Mr. Metz? Mrs. Ramasco? Mrs. Scott?
Here.
Mr. Zaggi? Mr. Carpenter?
Here.
8 present.
Thank you. Sunshine law, please.
The Board of School Directors held an executive session on Wednesday, February 12th to discuss personnel matters, matters subject to attorney-client privilege and other confidentiality laws, litigation or threat litigation matters.
Okay, thank you. Any correspondence?
No correspondence.
Any changes, amendments to the agenda? Okay, with that, I believe that we have a presentation this evening from a Kristen Ferguson. Where's yours?
I think most of you before. I'm Kristen Ferguson. We would like to present pilot program for Chromebooks. The tech department would like to pursue trying something new. So we're looking to.
Not a Chromebook, is it?
No, that's not sounding good, is it? No, it's not. All right, so our objective is to students and teachers have the best tools while keeping cost management and long-term sustainability in mind. So that's why we're looking to switch to using the Chrome OS, the Chrome operating system on Dell 3110 Chromebooks. What we're currently using are the Dell 3140 laptops, and that would be for grades 6 through 12. And then grades K through 5, we're using the Apple iPads. So if here we're kind of outlining what we're working with right now and then some of the challenges we're facing with those devices. So on the left side, we have the K through 5 Apple iPads. Some of the challenges we've been having, our newer iPads are not quite as accessible as some of the older iPads were. So one of the issues we've been having, they don't have headphone jacks anymore. So everything goes through that USB-C charger, which has been an issue for some of our younger children. They can't use their headphones anymore. If you had a traditional headphone jack, it doesn't plug in. So we had to buy adapters to make that work. So that's just been a little bit frustrating. They have trouble with the adapters sometimes too. So that's having that extra accessories made that a little bit more challenging. They also do not have keyboards, so that makes typing a little bit difficult for our elementary grades, especially considering state testing, because now next year we are moving to all online testing, so we do have to keep that in mind for our grades 3 through 5 who are using iPads currently. There is greater storage consumption from newer apps, and so you only have a limited amount of storage on your iPads. We can't change it. We can't open that up and add more storage. It's locked in. So that kind of creates an issue with the apps. And then we also can't update the iOS or apps when there's not enough storage. So if that's all filled up, anything newer they need to update to, they have to go through and delete everything, which makes it very hard. This then becomes a little bit more expensive, especially considering the needed accessories to make these work. So that's the issues we kind of face a little bit with the iPads. For the Dell Latitude laptops in grades 6 through 12, Windows is the operating system we're using on those, which is very resource heavy, so it's requiring a lot more RAM, CPU usage, and storage. Basically, Windows is built to do a lot of heavy lifting, so that makes it very like hungry to use all the resources on that device. Re-imaging devices when we have issues or need to push something new out can take hours. Managing through group policy is very complex, so there's a lot you can do in group policy, but then that means it's a little bit harder to push things out sometimes. The policies and system updates can take time, especially when not done regularly. So if you're not updating a computer very often or only when you have an issue, it takes a while to run those updates. So the reason we're looking at Chrome OS is because it was built for education. So simplicity and ease of use. It was designed for learning rather than troubleshooting. So it's lightweight and streamlined, which is allowing students and teachers to focus on learning rather than dealing with technical issues. The boot up times are much faster than you're going to see on a Windows device. You can just like type in your login and you're right in where you need to be. So it's meant to be very quick. So this doesn't take nearly as long, and you don't have to worry about running the same updates you would for Windows. You do not have to worry about complex software installations. Everything runs through the browser or apps. So this will reduce the need for manual software installations and configurations. So efficient for IT deployment and management. What's really nice about the Chromebooks, you have centralized management. So we would be able to use the Google Admin Console, which is all web-based as well. So that makes it a little bit easier for us to manage settings, user access, and security policies all done remotely. You would also see automatic backups and cloud storage. So work is saved in Google Drive or OneDrive. So this reduces the risk of lost files due to hardware failure. So if you're saving everything locally on your device, that device has an issue, you've lost your device, or you've lost all the work you were working on. Whereas if you're using Google Drive and OneDrive, it's in the cloud, so you can access that on any device. We would also have the ability for remote lock and wipe capabilities. So if a Chromebook is lost or stolen, administrators can erase its data remotely to protect student information. So if we look at performance, it's optimized for web-based learning. Chrome OS is designed for cloud-based applications. So this makes it ideal for online research, collaboration, and e-learning tools. You have less background processes going on. So like Windows, you have a lot of things going on in the background that you don't always see. With Chrome OS, you're not going to be seeing that. So that kind of keeps it lightweight. It's going to work a little faster and a little bit more efficiently. Another benefit to this would be the DRC Insight app. This is the app that we use for state testing right now. What you can do with the Chromebook to do that. So this is like your PSSAs, Firefly, and Keystones. All of these will be running through this app next year. You have the option to put that in kiosk mode on the Chromebooks, which means you don't even have to log in. You can have that right on the screen, click that, log in for your assessment, so you don't have to worry about managing anything under your user profile. Chromebooks are also fully cloud managed through Google Admin Console. So like we mentioned before, this would allow us to enforce policies, install any apps or software we would need to, and then restrict access remotely. So we wouldn't have to be touching every device. You could do it all from our little console center. This would quickly reset, reassign, and replace devices in case of issues, and this would automate security updates so we can ensure these devices stay protected without having to be individually touched. So affordability would be another benefit here. So this would allow us to expand our device refresh cycle. So technology refresh cycle is critical to keeping devices functional and up to date. So if we were to transition to Chrome OS on the Chromebooks, this would allow us to refresh more devices without increasing our costs. So by switching entirely to Chromebooks, we can increase our refresh cycle from 2 grades per cycle to 3 grades per cycle while maintaining our budget. So if you look on the left side, that is our current model. So right now we only have 2 refreshes. So we have the Dell Latitude 3140, which is our Windows devices. That is for grades 6 through 12. So these are higher hardware costs. This does tend to cost a little bit more per device, which I believe I have on the next slide for you. So that happens in 6th grade. So 6th graders get the Dell Latitude laptops. Our Apple iPads are for grades K through 5. So this is another, like there's a very expensive device, expensive when you have Apple Care and all the extra accessories. So that also tends to increase with cost as well. That is like those students get those devices in kindergarten. So that's when you see that first introduction to that device. If we were to switch to 3 refreshes with Chrome OS, we could it would cost significantly less per unit than the Windows laptops and iPads. This would mean more students get newer devices more often, which would improve the learning experience while also keeping costs predictable and sustainable. So here's like cost comparison, just to kind of give you an idea what we're working with. Our current Dell Latitude 3140 laptops with warranty are $695 per device. iPads with Apple Care and the case that we put on them costs about $492 per device. If we were to switch to the Dell 3110 Chromebooks, that would be about $349.55 per device. And the way this looks right now, just to kind of see the cost breakdown, so we get the one grade level of our Dell laptops and then the one grade level of the iPads. So the Dell laptops are $152,878. So if you were to buy that one grade level of just those devices. For the one grade level of just the iPads, that would cost $104,489. So that would total $257,367 just to get those two grades, those type of devices. If we look at that comparatively, if I were only to get two grade levels of Chromebooks, that would be $119,680. I'm sorry, $119,680. If we were to do three grade levels, that would put us at $179,520. So you're looking at less cost to get a whole extra grade level in there, which it's a benefit to give more students a newer device more often. So some of the benefits we'll see with that, currently management is split between two different management consoles. So for Windows, we're using group policy. For iPads, we're using Jamf, which both can be a little bit complicated. If we were to switch to Chromebooks, everything would be under the Google Admin Center or the Admin Console, which make that a little bit easier to streamline. If we're utilizing Chromebooks in the elementary grades, this will help build fine motor skills with typing. Chromebooks will also enable students and staff to continue using Microsoft 365 apps as well. They can also use the Google Classroom. So Google Classroom has a lot of really great apps built for education, so students will now have all of those at their disposal. Google Meet also provides live translation for any language, which is a benefit for anyone who needs to have different languages. So we would like to propose a demo to trial these devices for the remainder of the school year. So to ensure a smooth transition and allow staff and students to experience the benefits of Chromebooks firsthand, we propose a demo period for the remainder of the school year by purchasing 150 Dell 3110 Chromebooks. So how this pilot would work, we would have each building receive a sample set for real-world classroom testing. This allows every teacher and student to sample the devices and management style. Teachers and students to trial the Chromebooks in various grades and learning environments to share their experience with the IT department. The IT department would then gather that feedback from staff and students before doing a full-scale implementation. IT would then collect valuable pilot data to inform a district-wide transition, which will ensure we select the best device for all of our needs. So this device pilot, the way we'd like to do this, building administrators will work with their teachers to provide opportunities to utilize these Chromebooks and Google Workspace for education, which will also still have the Microsoft 365 resources available to these teachers as well. Teachers and administrators will provide feedback about the devices and also using the Google Workspace. So if we were to look at the cost for this demo, the Dell Chromebooks would be at $349.55 each. Getting 150 of those devices, we'd be looking at $52,432.50. I would be getting 5 carts to house these since we will be putting one in each building. We want them to be able to move around for whatever the building administrators and teachers would like to do to make sure everyone gets the experience. So the price for those carts would be $5,000 and $5,915. And then we do need to have the Google licenses, which come with the Chromebooks, but I did want to make sure that cost was in there as well. A license is $35 each. We have 5 extra for the teachers as well. So that'd be 155 of those, which would be $5,425. So the total we'd be looking at for this demo, this pilot program, would be $63,772.50. So if the pilot program is successful, we would like to move forward with the Chromebooks following a planned distribution that I have outlined for you guys on the next few slides. The pilot devices will be used for testing loaners for upcoming mandated online testing. And then I did make a note though too, if the district does not proceed with Chromebooks, we will continue purchasing 1 grade level of iPads, 1 grade level of Dell Latitude laptops, which is still just doing 2 device refreshes. And then we will utilize the pilot Chromebooks on carts for testing needs. So this is what, if we were to proceed with the Chromebooks, this is what the refresh timeline will look like. I'm gonna read this to you guys. I know it's a lot to look at. I have a visual aid on the next slide, which kind of breaks it down for you a little bit better. But this is just the explanation of it. So the 24-25 school year, we would just be demoing. For 25-26, we would be purchasing the Chromebooks for grades 4, 5, and 6. So then that would leave the iPads in grades K through 3, and then leave the laptops in grades 7 through 12. For the 26-27 school year, the Chromebooks would be purchased for grades 3, 4, and 8. So then the iPads would still remain in K through 2. The laptops would remain in grades 9 through 12. In 27-28, Chromebooks will be purchased for grades 2, 3, and 10. So then we would still have our iPads in K through 1. The laptops would still be in grades 11 and 12. In 28-29, we would purchase for grades 1, K, 1, and 2. So K through 11 would have Chromebooks, so only 12th grade would have laptops remaining. And then by 29-30 school year, Chromebooks will be purchased for 1, 5, and 9. And that would then become the main distribution year. So like moving forward, we would refresh in grades 1, 5, and 9 every single year. So that would mean all grades at that point would have the Chromebooks, and then we would be using that as our new timeline for device refresh. The devices will be repurposed though for kindergarten. But when we collect by that 5th grade year, those are the ones we would be putting back in kindergarten for the kindergartners. So I know that's a lot. So I do have like visual aid here to make this look a little bit easier. So as you can see, I've color coded this. So we have phase 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. So phase 1 for the 25-26 school year in red, you can see that's when we do 4, 5, and 6. So each year you'll see those move down. So you're going to follow where those devices go each year by the color. Then you'll see by phase 2 for 26-27, we've got 3, 4, and 8 will get the Chromebooks. For 27-28 in phase 3, we have 2nd, 3rd, and 10th grade getting the Chromebooks. For phase 4, we have kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd grade. And then you can see by 29-30, that is where everyone now has a Chromebook, and now we're able to, except for kindergarten, that's where kindergarten's going to keep the devices they had that prior year. 1st grade is going to get their first Chromebook that year to kind of fill in the gaps, so everyone now has a Chromebook. And then 5th grade and 9th grade would get their first refresh device. That would be our cycle moving forward. So hopefully that kind of makes that a little easier to understand, because I know that's a lot to hear all those grade levels. That is basically what we're proposing. So we're hoping that purchasing these Dell Chromebooks would allow us to do these refreshes, make management easier for us, and then also give the teachers more opportunities and more resources and just more efficiency in their classrooms. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent presentation, Kristen. Does anybody have any questions for her? I have a couple. Number one, can we keep the receipts for the carts and bring them back when we're done? But on a serious note, what would be your plan for the carts after the initial
After the
demo
pilot.
year?
So that I would
Would they
like.
still serve a purpose?
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to keep them on the site they're going to. So each building would still maintain those carts with the Chromebooks. They most likely would be used for testing though. So anytime you have a student who's got a device that's in for repair or they don't have a device at all, we'll be able to pull them.
Do
Thank
those carts lock?
They do. Yeah.
One big point I think I wanted to make sure, and she did have it in there, is that the state is mandating that we do online testing next year. So if they hold to that, we know that we give all of our students one-to-one devices. However, if a student breaks that or loses it and they don't have insurance and they don't want it, we don't just hand them out another and another. Testing comes, we're going to need some devices to at least do that. That doesn't mean we would hand that to them and they would get it forever, but it does mean on that given day and time, they would need to be given a device to take the test. So part of the thing I think about this is if it's successful in the way that large majority of administration staff, et cetera, thinks it's successful, as Kristen hopes that it will be, that's great. But either way, I think this pilot that you would be voting on, if you're approving that, we can add it, is necessary because we need these carts at least as a minimum to be able to go out for those that don't have devices to test for quality. If we don't do that, we're going to have to do something. So in one way or another, there was going to be some cost to that, which I don't know if state will really ever reimburse us, in a sense for that, or if they just mandate it'll be what it'll be. But if it is, it's what we're going to have to do.
Do we think kindergarten and 1st grade would be good with the laptop?
Yeah, I've asked a lot of different schools, a lot of different directors, and a lot of them assure me that the kids actually adapt really well if you do a Chromebook. I have also looked at options that you have touchscreen options. So I might pursue that for my younger grades, just to kind of, it's a nice transition. So you have a keyboard, but you can still touch the screen. So that's definitely something to consider.
Nice. Said too is that, you know, when you have this mobile cart in there, you're gonna want some of the younger grade levels to use it and give you the feedback. They may
Right.
say yes, they may say no.
Have you seen this work with Chromebooks?
Yeah, actually,
Firsthand experience?
yeah, at Western Beaver, we had Chromebooks.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
So did you, through the transition, did you have any issues with compatibility? Like, okay, so you have one grade or two grades or X amount of grades running on Chromebook and then you have the others running on Dell and
That is-
Microsoft?
I've not had that. So this is going to be something a little newer for us because I want to maximize the devices we already have that are still in good health. So I want to
Right.
make sure we're still utilizing
I mean,
those.
for 5 years, right? We've
Yeah,
been with
absolutely.
some of them for 5 years.
Oh yeah, yeah. So we want to keep those, the ones that are on good life cycle, we want to keep those in the system. But I mean, we've looked at the management, so it's like, yeah, we're gonna have three types of management for a little bit, but I think it's gonna be a good payoff for us in the long
Okay.
run. I do know there is ways though, the Google admin console will allow you to do other devices as well. So I could put the Windows devices in there too, and as well as the iPads. We may not just because we have those two current environments set up, but if we do have options to kind of merge everything together the best we can.
And you, I wrote it down, but I think you answered it. You, in your experience, you haven't had any issues with, like, they've used Word and Excel.
Oh
and
yeah, all the apps are still available.
Those are all still good, even though they're on Chrome OS.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what we actually didn't have Google Workspace at Western Beaver. We only used Microsoft.
Okay.
So it's definitely still easy to use. Everything's integrated. You can use it web-based or they have the apps as well. So you have a couple options.
Any other questions for her?
My only question is if so, if we do want to pilot this, is this something that we can add just the pilot portion of it on?
Do an agenda, you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you can certainly add that. I mean, with the board.
Well, no, not this moment, next week.
No,
I'm
that's
sorry.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to put it on tonight. I'm looking
No.
to say
For next
for next week,
yeah.
but I don't want to put it on if
Right.
people aren't as supportive of the
No,
pilot.
not right.
Question I have is, do
Soon.
you need to pilot all three elementary schools? Can you do one and utilize potentially the department heads that may reside in one versus putting it in all three? Other questions I have associated to the iPads, are there programs that are currently being utilized in the younger grades that the iPads make sense, even though there may be a dongle? The lightning port versus the iPhone jacks or whatever the headphones has. Do we need to put it in all three to potentially save in the cost to make sure that it's a trial, it's a demo? So yes, certain people may want to do it. It may be State Street, it may be Economy, it may be Highland. I don't know which one is the best to kind of engage and utilize it, but it cuts back on a little bit of the initial demo. I don't know how it fits in our budget for 24-25 at this point. Is there a budget that you haven't used in 24-25 for refresh of other devices that hasn't happened? What programs within the iPads aren't being used or may not be used in the future if we do transition? And, you know, with your current schedule, I mean, if there may be some adjustment to it,
Mhm.
just because of going from an iPad or a Chromebook to then the Dell or another Chromebook, when you jump between those grades, maybe that might be an additional thought process to it. It sounds like this is the direction that we need to go. And then my questions in budget season and as well as we move forward, you have different interfaces to manage.
Mhm.
You're still going to have it potentially 3 different interfaces, potentially 2 until you transition everything. What are those costs as we move forward? Still pay for a license, some sort for some way as we continue forward on the package or pieces here and there as we need. I would like to see a little bit more of that run out and expense associated. I think it would also deal in the budget process as we. It's not necessarily not a no by me, by any means, but just understanding a little bit more how this transition works and some of those things that we found to be tried and true for the younger grade as well. Because you go to an iPad, you go to a Chromebook, you go to a Dell, just because of the grade you hit, it becomes multifaceted. The other question would be moving forward as we go to retire some of these items. what may be the best way to do it. Is the last couple of years of Chromebook engagement for 11th and 12th grade. And we sunset those Chromebooks with that class because we're sunsetting it anyway.
Mhm.
It's something that we can hopefully provide, so they can continue to use something that they're familiar with into the real world.
To answer your first question, I mean, we could, that's definitely an option for cost savings if we just do one elementary school versus all three. I would prefer personally though all three, because I feel like every building has a different learning environment. And I want to give all the teachers that opportunity to work with those Chromebooks. If we just have one cart and that's through three buildings, they're very limited on that resource and their ability to use it, especially like we're looking at right now, we're in February. So I want to make sure they have the time to like officially pilot this and see if they like this and how they feel about that. So I would prefer to have that option available at each elementary school for just the accessibility. The other question you brought up were the iPads and what's being utilized on them. From what I understand, and I'll be talking to my teachers about this while we pilot it, but most of the apps and programs they're using are available already for Google Workspace. So those apps are kind of like across the board. They're on iOS and they're on Android. So if they're on Android, they're also available to us with the Chromebooks. I'm sorry, what was your last question?
There's more, but I think that just planning of what you want to look at. I understand we have three
Mhm.
elementaries. If we only had one elementary, we'd only get one cart.
Mhm.
So just because we have three doesn't mean we have to use it. Unless there's the budget for it, so that we can save in a future year. So have more financial versus the education. I also am a little confused around running out of memory and space on certain products, considering you want to drive towards a Google Docs or OneDrive. Why aren't we doing it today to save space on these devices?
We do have it available and we have been encouraging it, but that doesn't mean our students are always doing it. So right now, because they have the options, they'll save it wherever they can save it. Whereas on a Chromebook, it's built that way. It is built to make it easy. You know where you need to save. You're going to Google Drive, that's right there automatically for you, or you can do your OneDrive. So that's what they have available. But some use it, some are great at, but some people don't. And they're still utilizing. So that's been a push we have been working on. But that if they don't, they're just filling up the other stuff with whatever they want to save.
And their profiles for OneDrive are Google transfer to this. So they wouldn't lose anything saving it.
Well, at that point, by the time they get a Chromebook, they're gonna be saving everything that way. Yeah, they'll have everything transitioned to OneDrive.
I think it's important from a budget perspective to remember that built into the budget is X amount of refreshes per year, either way, right? So from a budget perspective, we're doing it either way, and it sounds as if we're doing it in probably not the most cost-effective way possible. And you're right, we may have some short-term additional expenditures through the transition period, maybe even the demo period. It sounds like, and it appears that cost savings is recognized in a fairly quick manner.
Mhm.
Right?
Yes, I agree, yes.
So from a budget perspective, I'm not saying it's the right, I'm not saying yes or no, but to answer your point about the budget, it would be in the budget because we're gonna do it anyway, right? So, any other questions for her?
Oh, I will say that I did ask Dr. Filipowski about durability. And she said that for the little kids, the Chromebooks with the case they come in are just as sturdy as the iPad.
Yeah, they're made to be, like,
So-
they're made for education, so they made them a lot more rugged than like a regular laptop.
My daughter's in 5th grade. I know it's some of these children do their stuff
Yep.
with the chairs on it.
Okay, great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Very well prepared.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. I would ask that if there are any other questions for time constraints, maybe shoot them to me and I can send them to you. That, if there's anything else that we need to know on that, unless you have questions right now.
My only question then is that as far as we can get you some more information, but as far as the pilot goes, do you want us to proceed with doing the pilot or?
I think my opinion is with the projected cost savings, and three very, very different buildings, my opinion is you almost have to do it in all three because those are three different buildings with three very different, just different. So I don't know how you would do it and execute it well, only having one do it. But,
So we.
and that's just my opinion. Does anybody else have anything to add on that?
My opinion would be, we are moving forward with this. What's the purpose of the demo? Why switch out a grade that we feel it's time to let the process.
Thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, that is an option. I proposed the demo though because it is a different device. It is a different operating system. So I felt like the demo would give everyone a chance to try it out and see if they like it. And then they reserve the right to. If my feedback is, we hate this, we don't want this, then we won't do it. So I feel like that's a little, I could do a full refresh, but then we did it, so this is more of the trial period. These will be utilized either way. So rather than
They
they
would still give us cushion for testing, online testing, and the cushion that we don't have today.
Yes.
Right?
exactly it.
Is the availability of the devices that you need are there today? And how
Yes, I talked to
quickly-
my vendor. He said they should ship within 2 weeks once we order.
How quickly would you be able to?
Pretty quickly. I've already been talking to Google about the process and getting that set up. So we would just sync it with what we currently have, and then we should be able to set up fairly quickly.
Anybody not okay with it?
Good with it. I think we need to move forward. Our kids
I
don't
think
need
we
to be
need to
behind
do
the
something,
technology.
yeah. All right, very good. Thank you. Excellent job. All right. At this time, district residents may come forward to comment on agenda items only. Each person must state their first and last name and address prior to speaking. Each resident will be allowed 3 minutes and can speak only once. This period for public comment prior to the standing committee reports will be limited to 1/2 hour. Although not required, board members desiring to address questions or concerns may do so after the residents' comments or questions or at the conclusion of the committee reports. There will still be an opportunity for residents to comment on any business relevant to the Ambridge Area School District under old and new business at the end of the meeting. All right, seeing none. Moving on to legislative action for the evening, education and technology. That's Mrs. Romasco. Who's going to read for Mrs. Romasco?
I am.
Thank you.
So, I have one item this evening under education and technology, and I would move for the adoption of item 1, which is resolution 2024-2025-7. It is recommended to approve resolution number 2024-2025-7, a resolution confirming the elected tax collectors' compensation for school district taxes without substantive changes from current compensation. Sorry. Any questions?
Does substantive changes actually?
It means it's the same, the amounts are the same as the district has previously set for elected tax collector compensation. The, the one change, from your existing resolutions, this is a resolution that you typically do every 4 years immediately, sometime in advance of the nominating petition for this elected position to be available. And the last time you did it, at the time, the elected tax collectors were also asked to collect delinquent per capita taxes. And since 2001, that has changed to a third party who's been very, probably more effectively capturing that function. And so that function has been removed from this resolution to reflect your new reality. You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, I heard a motion. Is there a second? Thank you. Please.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Fusco,
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe.
Yes.
Mr. Kvasivic,
Yes, please.
Mr. Metz,
Bill?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Mrs. Ramasco,
Yes.
Mrs. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Personnel, Vice President Scott.
All new hires pending receipt of satisfactory current clearances, satisfactory drug screening, TB testing, responses by current and former employers to Act 168 screenings and PD certifications if applicable. Thank you, President Carper, excuse me. Number one, resignation. It is recommended to approve the resignation of Carlin Humphreys from her position as a middle school girls volleyball coach effective January 29th, 2025 with regret. Number two, coach amendment. It is recommended to amend the approval of David Zaranek from a girls basketball volunteer coach approved on January 8th, 2025 to a boys basketball volunteer coach. 2024, 2025 spring coaches. One, track. Denise Duncan, assistant coach, $2,400 stipend. Savannah Fisher, assistant coach, $2,000 stipend. Rafen Ruskin, assistant coach, $1,900 stipend. Denise Duncan, middle school coach, $1,550. Jessica Anderson, volunteer coach, no remuneration. Joseph Patterson, volunteer coach, no remuneration. Number two, baseball. Sean Dugan, assistant coach, $2,400. Noah Rinker, assistant coach, $2,200. Greg Vakovican, middle school coach, $2,050. Chris Parrish, middle school coach, $1,350. Nate Scott, volunteer coach, no remuneration. Christopher Riker, volunteer coach, no remuneration. Kason Holland, volunteer coach, no remuneration. Number three, softball. Megan Fitzgerald, assistant coach, $2,400. Jonathan Fisher, assistant coach, $2,200. Casey Freed, middle school coach, $2,050. Reg Humbert, volunteer coach, no remuneration. Kaylin Wieland, volunteer coach, no remuneration. Kim Bagotti, middle school volunteer coach, no remuneration. Number four, boys volleyball. Jason Benkowski, assistant coach, $2,400. David Steuben, volunteer coach, no remuneration. Brendan Jones, volunteer coach, no remuneration. Derek Kuhn, volunteer coach, no remuneration. Lee Smith, volunteer coach, no remuneration. Number five, girls volleyball, Jamison France, middle school coach, $2,050. Kim Bagotti, middle school volunteer coach, no remuneration. Number six, boys tennis, Joseph Fortune, assistant coach, $1,050. Number four, 2025-2026 fall coaches. Number one, boys soccer, David Steuben, head coach, $4,300. Number two, girls soccer, James Raymer, head coach, $4,300. Number three, girls volleyball, Carlin Humphreys, head coach, $4,300. Number four, boys golf, Chris Yanessa, head coach, $4,300. Number five, girls golf, Larry Knopfschneider, head coach, $4,300. And Mrs. Fisher is going to assist me and she's going to take over at number five.
Thank you, Mrs. Scott. Number five, paraprofessional. It is recommended to retroactively hire Joseph Fortune as a paraprofessional at the Ambridge Area High School, effective January 23rd, 2025, as per the terms of the Ambridge Area Education Support Professional Association, pending receipt of current clearances, satisfactory drug screening, TB testing, and responses by current former employers to Act 168 screening. Number six, posted positions. It is recommended that the following individual who has applied for the specified posted position for the 24-25 school year be ratified at the rate of pay as per the collective bargaining agreement, provided the school year allows and sponsors can hold activities as normal. Activity Club Middle School Interact Club Aaron Wolf, $313.33 prorated. Number seven, School Resource Officer Agreement Addendum. It is recommended that an addendum to the agreement between the Ambridge Area School District and the Ambridge Police Department be approved. Number eight, ABC Transit. It is recommended to approve the individuals listed as operators, attendants, and maintenance for ABC Transit, Inc. for the 24-25 school year.
pending receipt of current clearances, satisfactory drug screening, TB testing, and responses by current former employers, Tact 168 screening. Danielle Gardner, van driver, Javion Smith, van driver, Timothy Armstead, van driver, Daniel Boney, van driver, Lisa Boda, van driver, Joseph Cernelia, van driver, Jamie Deutsch, van driver, David Philippek, sub bus driver, Jennifer Philippek, sub bus driver, Donald Frankowitz, van driver, Kenneth Schrum, van driver, Monticello, van driver, James Gardner, van driver. Number 9, Orton Gillingham training. It is recommended that the following elementary teachers be compensated for 35 total hours to complete Orton Gillingham training on their own time upon completion of the Orton Gillingham Comprehensive OG Plus training and submission of the certificate at the rate of pay as per the collective bargaining agreement. Salary and benefits are to be paid by grant funding, to be paid for through the Title II grant money. Olivia Pietropola, Susan Manupelli, Jessica Niemeyer, Alexis Kogas, Kathleen Marvin, Carrie Keeber, Chelsea Quinn, Amy Watts, Lee Levi. Number 10, permanent contracts. It is recommended that the following professional employee who has completed 3 years of satisfactory service in the Ambridge Area School District as of the effective date designated be given permanent professional contract. Sarah Burns, tenure date February 7th, 2025. Number 11, Slippery Rock University student field observation. It is recommended to approve the following Slippery Rock University student to complete observation hours within the Ambridge Area School District pending receipt of current clearances, satisfactory drug screening, TB testing, and responses by current former employers, Tact 168 screening. Nicholas Kessel to be placed with Kenneth Grafton. Are there any questions? Like to move for the adoption of items 1 through 11? Yes,
I do got a question about that list from ABC Transit.
sure. Go ahead.
Is there, that list that they gave, is there a reason? Those are all bus drivers and van drivers that they're already working for them and driving. That's not new employees. Those are bus drivers and van drivers, some of them that have already are driving for us. So I'm confused on what list that was sent.
Dr. Castelli, no.
So, Jim was just sharing with me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Pellikowski, got it.
Oh, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Jim was just letting me know that they updated. Yes, they were employees of the bus company, but they had just updated the list with Mary Jo with clearances.
Did you hear that, Mr. Mess?
So did they?
So they've been driving without
She
clearance?
said-
So
Oh,
it was time to renew.
Got it.
so they just updated with clearances, Mississippi informed you, Dr. Filipowski?
Clearance did they renew?
That was already,
You,
thank you.
I mean, I just wanted to add to that, June, just said that these people were never given on the original list to Mary Jo Sippy. So she didn't have those on the
Oh,
beginning
okay.
of the year.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else, any other questions?
I'll second.
Thanks. Roll please.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes, on 1 and 2, under number 3, I will abstain from number 1. And then I will be yes through 2 through 6 and 4 through 11.
Ms. Fitzko,
Yeah.
Mrs. Kehoe,
Yes.
Mr. Kovacevic,
Yes, please.
Mr. Metz,
Yes to everything, but I'll abstain from ABC Transit.
Mrs. Scott,
Yes to everything except for number 7. So 1 through 6 and 8 through 11.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay. Thank you.
call everybody.
Kelly, unfortunately had to hang up.
Okay, that's fine.
So,
I just didn't want to, thank you.
no, he did.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to non-voting agenda items, education and technology. Mrs. Ramasco, Amy Fitzko, if you wouldn't
Yeah.
mind.
Sure.
Right.
So under education technology, number one, the 2025 to 2026 school calendar. It is recommended that the proposed 25-26 school calendar be approved. Any questions? I'm just gonna ask that at the end. K through 12 guidance plan 339. It is recommended to approve the submission of the K through 12 guidance plan 339 to the Pennsylvania Department of Ed. The plan was vetted through Act 339 Advisory Council, which included all stakeholders. Psychology and Learning Center, number 3. It is recommended to ratify the memorandum of understanding between the Psychology and Learning Center and the Ambridge Area School District to provide neurological evaluations, outpatient therapy, and medical management of district students at no cost to the district, subject to final review of this from the solicitor. The Meadows Psychiatric Center. It is recommended to approve a letter of agreement between the Meadows and the Ambridge Area School District, a mental health provider, for the 24 through 26, 26 through 27, and 27 through 28 school district, subject to final review of this from the solicitor. Number 5, Think Sync agreement. It is recommended to approve the agreement between Think Sync and the Ambridge Area School District. This will provide tools, resources, insights, and support the emotional and mental well-being of students grades 6 through 12. This is at no cost to the district, subject to final review. Number 6, Uni First Service Agreement. It is recommended to approve a service agreement between Uni First and the Ambridge Area School District of the floor mats and mop services effective date of signature, February 7th, 2025, at the rates per the attached schedule. Number 7, Educational Consortium for the Telecommunications Savings. It is recommended to approve the contract between the Educational Consortium of Telecommunications Savings and the Ambridge Area School District, which include the application for discounts under the SREK amendment to the Telecommunications Act of 1996, commonly called E-rate. Number 8, Pennsylvania School Safety Institute Third Safety Summit. It is recommended Megan Wallet be approved to attend the Penn SSI Third Safety Summit being held in Mechanicsburg, PA on March 27, 2025. The Safety Summit is a gathering of key stakeholders to discuss innovative strategies and solutions to improve school safety. All expenses, registration fees, travel, lodging, and meals will be paid per Board Policy 331, job-related expenses. The approximate cost will be $600. Number 9, the 2025 School Nutrition Association of Pennsylvania Director Workshop. It is recommended Leanne Holman be approved to attend the 2025 SNAPA Director Workshop being held at Seven Springs Mountain Resort, March 17th through 18th, 2025. The 2025 SNAPA Director Workshop is an inclusive director-level event designed to inspire, educate, and connect leaders in school nutrition. All expenses, registration, fees, travel, lodging, and meals will be paid per Board Policy 331. Job-related expenses, the approximate cost will be $1,000. Number 10, PA TSA Leadership Conference. It is recommended that Ben Holmes, Pamela Green, Zach Dugan, Scott Steffen, and Shauna Dowling be authorized to take students to the local chapter of the PA Technology Student Association Conference, in which students will compete in a wide variety of technology and STEM-related areas at the Pennsylvania's Technology Student Association State Leadership Conference. The event will be held April 23rd through 26th, 2025 at Seven Springs Mountain Resort. Students who attend the PA TSA states will be reimbursed per Board Policy 240. 50% of travel costs or $250 per student, whichever is less, for a maximum of $3,000. The teacher will be reimbursed at the contracted rate with an expense report attached, which covers registration, fees, travel, lodging, and meals. Number 11, the 2025 Adventures in Education Club Field Trip. It is recommended that Larry Knopsnyder, an American cultures teacher at the high school, be authorized to take students in the Adventures in Education Club to St. Augustine, Florida, From November 4th through 7th, 2025, there will be no cost to the district with the exception of a cost for a substitute teacher. Parents and guardians will be required to sign permission and release forms. Chaperones will be required to have all clearances and TB testing. Any questions on all of that?
On number 4, is it to cover the rest of the 24-25 school year? The Meadows Psychiatric Center.
Oh, no,
Disagreement. Yeah. I believe that we currently do not use them, so this is the new contract that would be for the next 3 years. I don't have anyone, nor have I ever had anyone in this. This is the first time that they reached out to us that they're going to be taking inpatients. Partial.
So it wouldn't be for this calendar year or this school year.
Thank you.
All right, finance and budget, which is Mr. Zachi, who would like to read for him.
I was reading for Mr. Zapchi.
Thank you, sir.
School district monthly bills and salaries. It is recommended that the monthly school district bills in the amount of $2,990,214.11 and monthly school district personnel salaries in the amount of $1,266,984.55 be paid. Cafeteria monthly bills and salaries. It is recommended that the monthly cafeteria bills in the amount of $139,406.17 and the monthly cafeteria personnel salaries in the amount of $44,638.02 be paid. There's a request for a budget transfer. It is recommended to approve budget transfers for February of 2024.
Fine.
Thank you. Any questions?
Is there a total dollar value associated to the transfer from one area to another?
Has one account that they budgeted $10,000 for. Basically, in summary, there was a smaller orchestra pit this year. I'm reading what they gave me, but they have a bigger set that they need to build, plus they need to rent some lighting and haze machines. This is for so they over budgeted in the production rights section, so he just needs to move it into another section for those other needs.
Within the theater?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Building and grounds, Mr. Metz, I will read for him as he is out too. Economy Elementary main exterior doors, it's recommended to retroactively approve a quote from Tim Chack Safe and Lock LLC to install the new electrified exit device and test for proper operations for the total cost of $43.89 through the state bidding process. Number 2, high school boiler controls. It's recommended to retroactively approve a proposal from CMS Controls to repair boiler controls at the high school for a total cost of $52.50 through the state bidding process. This is at a reduced amount of $2,000. And number 3, for the fuel consortium, it's recommended that extended participation with the Western Pennsylvania Gasoline Diesel Consortium through the Allegheny Intermediate Unit number 3 be for the purchase of fuel for the 25-26 school year be approved. Any questions on that?
Yes, number 1, can you explain that a little bit more, please?
Yeah, so basically, what had to happen was there was a door at Economy in the second set of doors when you walk in that was just malfunctioning because I think it was just used so much. So sometimes it wasn't releasing as well as it should. So we wanted to get that repaired. So we never had an issue with the first set locking them in, but then the second set was causing some issues. So they needed to be on pair. They just needed to replace that part.
Okay, thank you. Athletics, Mrs. Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. President. Number 1, athletic training services. It is recommended the athletic training services agreement between UPMC Health System Sports Medicine and the Ambridge Area School District be approved. This is a 3-year agreement for the 25-26 school year at a total cost of $58,000, 26-27 at a total cost of $60,500, and 27-28 at a total cost of $62,800. The agreement will commence on July 1st, 2025, and end on June 30th, 2028, subject to final review of the solicitor. Number 2, middle school volleyball poles. It is recommended to approve a quote from Sports Imports to purchase replacement aluminum volleyball poles at the middle school in the amount of $8,033.50 through the state bidding process posted. Number 3, middle school electric track system. It is recommended to approve a quote from Link Systems to purchase a fully automatic training system in the amount of $5,440. This system is required by WPIAL to score track and field events and to ensure our compliance at home meets. Are there any questions?
I have a question about number 2. I know that we purchased a new volleyball setup. I think that was for the high school. Is that something that we possibly need to look at for the middle school versus just new poles? You know, something that would last longer than spending over $8,000 on just poles.
My understanding, this was the request from them, and it's similar to the ones that we bought at the high school.
Oh, that.
High school ones were carbon fiber.
Yeah.
And that's what these are now.
It says it.
Well, she didn't change that on the agenda. Because I went back and asked them again and we got the same answer. It doesn't matter. They'll both be fine. So we'll just say it into the public that we went with the higher end ones. And I think it didn't get changed on the agenda, but
Change the cost.
yeah. So we'll get that edited before next week.
The cost go up then?
No, that is the higher cost.
Any other questions?
The,
Thank-
number 3 is the only item that was asked for from the track team.
No, I know that he's working with the track, but this is the one that's imperative that we get in order to be able to time folks for meets. I know that the,
For the spring.
for the spring.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I know that so we have to get on this and do this, otherwise our times wouldn't count here. So there are some other things like all the other sports are asking for, that they're gonna have to work through the athletic director and determine, where they fit on the prioritized list this year, next year. But no, it wasn't the only thing. But I know that it's a primary thing that we need to make sure we get done.
Okay. Public Relations, Ms. Fitzgill.
There's nothing here, but I actually have 2 things. One, please join us next week. The musical will be coming, we'll have our meeting next week in the cafeteria. The musical is coming to give us a small performance and a little taste. Please see any of the flyers to order your tickets ahead of time. And the other thing is, just middle school and high school kids, be on the lookout for the upcoming seasons for football and your spring sports for signups. Coming.
They are in full recruit mode, right?
They are. They had me pass that along.
Yeah, I saw one for lacrosse earlier today.
Yeah, so if your kids are interested, please reach out so they can get the right direction going.
Okay,
Thank you, President Carter.
thank you, Ms. Fitzgill. Steering and rules, Mrs. Kehoe.
Policy 222, tobacco and vaping products. It is a 3rd reading. It is to update the policy. It's a policy prohibiting student possession, use, purchase, and sale of tobacco and vaping products be updated to remove language that specifically lists Juul products by the legal settlement with individual school districts as well as the PA Attorney General's office. Any questions? Item number 2, a policy 323, tobacco and vaping products, also a 3rd reading. This policy is prohibiting employee possession, use, purchase, and sale of tobacco and vaping products be updated to remove language that specifically lists Juul products by the legal settlement with individual school districts as well as the PA Attorney General's office. Any questions on that one? Item number 3 is policy 801, public records. It is a third reading to update policy 801 to clarify the district's responsibilities regarding responding to requests for records under the right to know law. Any questions? Item number 4, policy 246, school wellness. It is a first reading and it is to revise the policy to modify the number of times per year the wellness committee will meet. The committee will meet a minimum of 2 times per year rather than the 4 times per year. Any questions? That's all I have this evening.
For number 4, the committee meeting, have they been meeting 4 times a year? Or are we adjusting the policy to reflect what they have?
Right, I think that, we've recently have a new, Leanne Holman's recently taken on the position, and I think that 2 times a year is what she's been meeting. As opposed to 4, so we want to adjust that.
Any other questions? Legislative, Ms. Fitzko.
I have nothing this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate everybody being here tonight. Thank you. I don't have a whole lot to add other than the musical is coming up and the spring sports are getting ready to be in full swing, and they are recruiting and they are in need of kids that want to play. So please look at parents, if you could look at it with your kids and see opportunities where they could have some fun and make a difference. It would be a good thing for everybody. So with that, thank you for coming tonight, and I will defer to our superintendent, Dr. Pascarella.
Yeah, thank you. Likewise to what you said. In addition, congratulations on a great winter season to all the winter athletes. And congratulations to those in the music department for putting on great concerts. Especially all the seniors did a great job. Looking forward to the spring season coming up next for athletics and concerts, along with the musical, as you said. That's great. The one other thing I did want to touch on, I don't know, Mrs. Amadeo, if you wanted to kind of give the timeline for them, just so that we could start planning, get it okay for advertising as far as next steps in the budget.
Yes, I'll share the budget timeline and what we have, as far as the, March 12th, we'll advertise in the paper. Basically, it's just going to say that, the budget workshop, and that's whenever I do my presentation, will be held on March 19th, and we'll adopt the proposed final budget at the meeting on Wednesday, April 9th. So that's the following meeting. I'll do my presentation on the 19th, and we will, vote to adopt it on April 9th. And also we will also publish, at the regular board meeting on May 14th, the proposed final budget will be available for inspection beginning April 10th at the high school, and also be on our website. So finally, we will have the final proposed budget, will be advertised on April 16th, and we'll adopt the final budget on May 14th. Those are all to fall in, compliant with.
Okay.
So on the budget workshop, you said that would be on 3/19.
3/19.
Okay, and that we would run that then at 6 o'clock and start our executive a little bit earlier, right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
That concludes my report. I'm sorry.
thank you, Dr. Pascarella, our esteemed solicitor.
So you may have noticed in the last month or so, there have been some headlines that have been coming out of Washington DC that kind of speak to education, and the way that the federal government is looking and kind of encouraging schools across the country to address a variety of issues. So I think the good news is that there isn't anything dramatically different that Ambridge needs to do today that you weren't doing already. But just know that I am reading all of it. I'm staying on top of it. And as as those, I mean, there's a number of topics that the Department of Education and other agencies are directed to provide recommendations and guidance on different timelines, but most of those on a 60 to 90-day time horizon. So we'll just continue to watch those and advise if there is anything that we need to do or any adjustments to your programs or your approaches, but we're aware and we'll stay tuned.
Thank you.
Welcome.
It's now time for old and new business. Any district resident who desires to comment on any business relevant to the Ambridge Area School District should now come forward. Each person must state their first and last name and address prior to speaking. Each person will be allowed 3 minutes and can speak only once. This period for public comment prior to the standing committee reports will be limited to 1/2 hour.
Already have it set for me. Thank you. Thanks. I don't even know if this works, but Fabiola Gergerich, 2623 Woodland Road. Hi, it's been a while. Good to see all of you. Thanks. I want to thank you folks again for offering the Orton Gilligan training to the teachers. You know, I am a strong proponent of that. So thank you for encouraging your teachers doing that. On page 5 with the whole psychology and learning center, 3 to 5, are parents notified when their child is seeking some kind of mental health? So basically, I really want to know if parents are notified, informed. Dr. Pasquarelli mentioned about online testing, and I'm going to guess that's a standardized test. So are these students doing the testing in the school building, not at home? And Kristen, this is nothing against you. I am not a fan of Google, Chromebooks, whatever. But again, I don't have a child at school. These are for other parents to, you know, whether they are for it or not. I know, you know, the board has to decide on it, but I am not a fan of Google. And I know that I brought this up before. All of you know that I am not a fan of the K through 5 having any kind of technology, especially kindergarten. So I guess my question to you is, what is the benefit? What is the purpose of having an iPad for kindergarten, first graders and second graders, truthfully? And to say that they need this to get a head start is hogwash. I mean, I'm an old dog. I learned a new trick, right? So it's really, you know, so I'm just giving, if you're able to give me what is the purpose, what is the benefit, what kind of good outcomes do you see from that? Any updates on Beta and Academy? This is solicitor did kind of bring this up, but my question was with Trump's executive order on biological males, non-girl sports. I don't think we really had an issue, but if we have an issue, how's it going to be resolved? Illegals. I don't even know if we have illegals in here, but this is going to be an issue for students at the school. And finally, what I want to address more on a comment a couple of months ago, there was a whole gun issue, which, you know, I was there for that, but I guess my concern with that is the fall outrage. And I'll say that because when Baden Academy came, you know, encouraging that the board renew their contract, if you remember that, Jim, the auditorium was almost packed. And I do want you to note that the auditorium, was not packed for this whole gun thing. So we bring up the student, and again, I don't know if there's any updates on this student, and whether you can address it or not. But so now there was a pushback with getting these clear backpacks for the students. So my question is, if a parent had an issue that they didn't want to do it, was there any issues and what was the end result? And who actually paid for these backpacks? And I just want to just add, if you remember, there were a couple of you that are new that were on here. When you first install that detector, whatever, yep, in the middle school, if you remember, we were in the cafeteria and I came up and I spoke and I said that detector was going to be an illusion of safety. I didn't bring it up at that meeting because, of course, no one wanted to hear it, but that's where we are. So I'm not a fan of the detectors, and I get it, and I know the security lady was picked on because she didn't look it through someone's concealed carry case. Again, that is also kind of asinine as well. Excuse me for saying that, but seriously, you have a concealed carry permit, but you can't bring your gun in. And now she wants a gold star because she didn't bring her gun in. She went through a testing. She had to be, because I have concealed carry. So, just come on. We're not in third grade anymore. We shouldn't be looking for gold stars. We're past that age and, but
Way
anyways,
past your 3.
yeah, I'm sorry, but thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna take a couple of those things. Well, I guess number one, do we know on her question about mental health, enrollments, if there is parental notification?
There's gonna be two ways that they're usually notified. One way is they would ask for services and get a sign off. The other way that is often utilized too is they send it out to everybody, and if they don't want it, they need to write they do not want those services.
Um, I would ask that you stick around until after, because I'm interested to hear what you don't like about Google. Um, as we have updates on Baden Academy, we will share them. That subject doesn't go away, right? So we're aware of it and we'll share those updates when we get them. Does anybody have anything? You unpacked a lot there, so that's okay. Why don't we talk after on some of that and anybody else? Thank you.
I forgot one thing. I'm
Yes,
sorry. If
please.
anybody else wanted to talk, I'll be quick. I just wanted to say good luck to all of our little youth wrestlers that are going to their championship this week, and then they're going to start their road to state. So good luck to them. Wish them the best. So, sorry. Thank you. If anybody-
No, thank you. Smithfield. Anybody else?
And the standardized testing that's gonna be online will have to be taken in school.
Regardless of grade.
Well, I'm not aware of any opportunity to take it at home.
Right.
I'm not aware of any at this point.
Okay, but I mean, the online requirement will be for elementary students as well, right?
Yep, it'll be for everybody.
Which is one, I mean, one that I can think of as a reason that they need some tech access, but anybody else would like the floor for comment? Okay,
Sorry
with that,
to interject real fast. I
Yes.
do know that there are kids that homeschool that already currently take it online. And yeah, so that is not new. It's just new for us.
Yeah, I know, but again, my children, so I think it's a bit different.
all right, thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.